Beautiful animals are threatened by illegal logging and poaching. And we will lose our national heritage if we don't stand up for wildlife. So please report wildlife crimes and say no to illegal bushmeat, because protecting nature protects our future.
Kiriji War, also known as Ekiti-Parapa War, was waged among Yoruba main ethnic groups which emerged from the ruins of the falling Oyo Empire that were desperate to replace the awesome powers hitherto wielded by the Alaafin of Oyo. The Kiriji War is defined as a
Hello and welcome. Welcome to the show every Monday morning, every Monday afternoon. It's already 1 p.m. We try to come your way with an issue. An issue that on this program, we entitle Pertinent Questions. We ask very pertinent questions on whatever issue we bring about. Food security is a concept or an idea that is central to human life and living. It is our topic for discussion today on our program, Pertinent Questions. The questions we are going to set out to ask shortly are going to be based on this subject that is first and foremost an essential factor in human life. Homo sapiens owes its existence to food, and its security becomes very imperative. On Pertinent Questions this Alamo, my guest is a young man who is very passionate about human development, human growth, and progress. And you cannot have these three without food being a vehicle. My guest spends his talent, his time, and his treasure in ensuring that hope or vision materializes in the life of people. He's an intellectual, a capacity, and an entrepreneur. He runs seminars, workshops, and summits to help challenge the difficulties that face man in his growth, his development, and his progress. Engineer Bolaji Jegede is an entrepreneur I am speaking of. He runs a number of outfits, one of which is Eternity Stone Group. There he is the Chief Executive Officer. He's my guest on Pertinent Questions today. I remember that in the last 18 months he was here. We have met him before. And so we can say welcome, engineer.
Very welcome. It's good to be here again.
Indeed. I think the last time you were here was either May or June last 2023. Now, something is very central to us, food. There is no man, as I said, Homo sapiens existence depends on food. On this only recently too, you held a summit, a food summit. In the second part of this presentation, we will come to that. But right now, I want to ask this very simple question. What is food security?
So essentially, when we talk about food security, we are basically saying that how can we ensure that we have enough food to go around everyone in the country, but also the possibility of even selling to other countries. So essentially, if you are talking about food security in Nigeria, we are saying to ourselves, how can we ensure that the food and the nutrition that we need, children, men, women, we are able to provide for ourselves sufficiently enough that we chase away things like kwashiorkor, and everybody can hit 3 square meals, So when we say, how do we then secure it? What are the things that we can put in place to ensure that we secure the lives and livelihood of our people by way of them having good food to eat?
Good. I want you to look at the opposite of it too, because to every coin there are 2 sides. What is the opposite of it? What is hunger? Because I want to suspect that food insecurity must amount to hunger. Am I right?
So yeah, so you're right. Sufficient food. It means that our children, our young people will not grow properly because you need good nutrition in the right quantity to be able to grow. So when you're talking about the mental development of our children, you're talking about the mental development of our teenagers, they need good food. They need nutritious food. So the flip side means that we will be food insecure if we cannot provide enough food to go around the population.
And that will translate into what?
That would translate to hunger. That would translate to bad mental development.
Okay.
And
farming. Farming in the sense, not the farming one. When there's no food, there's famine in the land. Oh,
so that's the very extreme one.
Oh yeah. Well, are we not moving towards it?
Well, we are we are not there yet.
Okay.
But particularly now, when you now talk about the insecurity that we're talking about, where the farmers are not even allowed to go to their farm, I can take the country to the place of famine.
What can bring about food security? What are the steps we must take?
So to bring about food security, we must understand what we are defining. So there must be enough food. So it means that farmers must be able to go to their farms and they must be able to have good yield. So whatever it is that we need to do to ensure that farmers can go to the farm, have good yield, is what can also help us bring about security for food. And so because now we have to look at the challenges that the farmers are facing, or in fact the entire agricultural value chain is facing. So today now, farmers do not have adequate opportunities for funding for them to actually grow their crops. One of the challenges that they keep talking to us about is the fact that when they apply for some of these loans that are available, by the time, because of the bureaucracy within the system, by the time the monies are being released, they are released at a time that farmers don't even need them anymore. And so they get to even use those monies for something else, and then the bank's chasing them all over the place. So that's one big problem that is there. Farmers need to get money at the right time. They need money. Agriculture. Nigeria is currently very under mechanized. As of the last research that I saw, we have only about 30,000 active tractors in Nigeria, and Nigeria requires about 1 million tractors to be
on 30,000.
And just 30,000. So you can see the extent of under mechanization of agriculture that we have. And what does that mean? That means that over 80% of the farmers in Nigeria are smallholder farmers. And so what does that mean? It means that they only have 1 acre to 3 acres, 5 acres, and that's the way you have them in smallholder farmers. And when you really want to ensure that the country has food security, you must be able to mechanize agriculture sufficiently. It means that farmers are doing 10,000 hectares. And this is where you see it when you go to America, you go to China, So to ensure that Nigeria is food secure, we must embrace mechanization in agriculture. Our farmers must have access to money as at when they need it. Another key factor that actually results today in about 50% of wastage is the fact that between the farm, even when farmers harvest, between the farm and the market, research shows that 50% of their goods get spoiled. And that's what we call the post-harvest losses. And when we are not growing enough, and then 50% is spoiling between the farmer and the market, we have a serious problem on our hands. So we must be able to look into these post-harvest losses also if we must be food secure in Nigeria. And that one of the key factors to this is bad roads. So many of the crops that our farmers grow, tomatoes, pepper, these are perishable goods, and then you are going on bad roads. Sometimes those things get smashed together. Sometimes the trailers that are carrying goods from the market, they fall over. So bad road is also contributing to these post-harvest losses and a few other factors. So if your question is saying can we be food secure, we must embrace mechanization heavily. Then there must be sufficient funding for farmers when they need it. We have to tackle the issue of post-harvest losses. Countries, you have what you call the cold chain system, such that when you perishable goods are kept in cold vans so that they can keep them fresh. But so we don't have the cold chain system that is running meaningfully in Nigeria. We have very bad roads, so transportation of these goods, they get spoiled. Then they don't have money when they need money. The yield is low because a farmer is doing 5 acres. That's company who is doing 10,000 acres. I mean, so I was in China recently. When you see tractors, 200 horsepower tractors, they're like monsters. They will just. So what that would do within 1 hour, a farmer will be doing the next 22 weeks. He has not done it.
Can he even equate it? 2 weeks.
So we must. These are things that we have to embrace if we must be food secure.
While preparing for this show, which is a show that an expert is coming on, I tried also to do some research. I am told there are pillars of food security, and I'm told protection, prevention, detection, and response. Would you like to expatiate on this? Protection, prevention, and the detection.
Okay, so I wouldn't say I directly know what that is speaking to exactly, but I can talk around it. So when you talk about prevention, when you say prevention, and you say okay, you're saying food security. So what do we need to do to prevent food shortage?
Yes,
we're simply saying the same thing, that we have to be proactive, and proactivity means that we need to give our farmers the tools that they need so that they can produce sufficiently for the population. So when you made mention of protection, and I would, because now when we talk about food security, we're not talking about just crops alone. So even the animal husbandry is part of pigs, sheep, ram. So how do you prevent? For example, we can be food insecure in the animal husbandry if you don't prevent diseases. So one of my friends who happens to be a poultry farmer recently lost about 400 birds because of the outbreak of flu. One of the problems that we have in the poultry industry. So, but if you don't prevent the outbreak of diseases, you are going to lead to food insecurity. So there was a time not a few years ago, we had something called tomato Ebola. Okay. And then, this affected tomato all over the country, and tomato, the cost skyrocketed because you had very few and so much demand and few supply. So prevention, to me, we'll be talking about how do you prevent things that could result in food insecurity. So whether it's to prevent your crops from being infested with pests, or you are preventing your animals from being afflicted by any of those diseases. Because once you have those afflictions coming, then you're going to lose your harvest, or you're going to lose your animals, and then there's no food for the people.
In our country today, we naturally live in what you can call a politically unstable society. There are herdsmen doing their own, and there are kidnappers here and there. To what extent has this contributed to food shortage? This time not food security. And how much of population explosion can affect food security?
So when we look at the issue of this herdsmen that give a lot of farmers problems in their farms, it's a huge contributor to food shortage. So also is the issue of in the up north, the issue of all these bandits, Boko Haram, that don't allow farmers to go to their farms to do their business. That contributes a lot to food shortage, because when the farmers cannot access their farms, when they grow their crops, and herdsmen will go there and their animals will eat up the crops. Those are the crops that should have become food for the country. So it's a very big problem that the country needs to solve, and we have to really solve it frontally, because without solving that problem, the commotion will continue, and we really cannot be food secure if we don't solve that problem. The farmers should be able to spend their time and money to grow their crops and be able to harvest them without animals going to eat their investments. And the guys who are also moving their cows around, they need to really look at that business model, if that business model really works, because you have some of these cows, they come from the north, they walk thousands of kilometers to the south, going around for pasture. We have to look at that business model, if it really works. What's done in the industry globally, but we don't have any meaningful dairy industry in Nigeria, because those cows, when they walk around, they are fatigued. They can't produce much milk, and that's why in advanced countries that know what they're doing, they ranch all these animals. And when you see them, when you go to Holland or you go to America, when you see cows, you see how fat they are. You have cows that can give you 15 liters, 20 liters per day. That's a lot of money of milk per day. So it's because they are well fed, they are kept in a very good condition, they are vaccinated when they should be vaccinated, and they are properly taken care of. And that's something we really need to look at. People have said it in many fora, but I feel that the political elites are paying lip service to the issue of this clash between herdsmen and farmers. I think that's one of the reasons, perhaps, that the president set out to come up with the Ministry of Livestock. I haven't seen what they are doing yet. That government is probably about 2 years into their tenure now, probably. I don't know what. I've not seen any policy. I've not seen any really movements in what they are doing. So, but that problem needs to be solved, and because it's contributing to food shortage, really.
Climate change is a worldwide vocabulary now. It's been so for quite some time now. To what extent is climate change responsible for our food insecurity?
So climate change in itself, how is it affecting farmers, for example?
The food
now, we don't have rainfall the way we used to have rainfall. It's no longer as predictable as it used to be.
Yeah.
And so what this means is, because many of our farmers still depend on rain to grow their crops, which is very wrong in today's world that depends on technology. And so when you look at that, climate change is there, but serious countries don't allow those kind of things to affect their food security. So really, there's something called irrigation. So irrigation is the way in which you can grow your crops all year round, because channeling water from streams or channeling underground water, to ensure that there's water regularly to grow your crops. And so whilst the climate change is a real situation, there are solutions around it to ensure that it doesn't affect food security. And that solution essentially is to use irrigation. So irrigation is something that we're very low on it in Nigeria, and we need to really look at that very seriously. To a large extent, in the north, some of them practice irrigation farming, but in the south, we're not doing a lot of that, and that's something that we have to do to be able to nip the issue of global warming and in the board.
Yes, we were trying to, time is very much of the essence, but I think we should be able to answer this question before I leave this first part of the show. When you talk about agricultural value chain, what does the agriculturist mean? What does it mean?
So when we're talking about the agricultural value chain, we're basically trying to talk about what are the different stages that are involved in the agricultural system. Because, so for example, the farmer is the beginning of the chain. Mm-hmm. The farmer grows the crops and then he harvests the crops. Then it goes to people which we call the processors. So a processor will take things like yam, convert it to the yam flour, take things like maize, convert it to ogi. So that's converting the food, the raw food, into, well, whatever form is the processing. That's another business area. So now you have to take what you have produced to your customers, your end users. So you look at transportation.
Right.
So there's the transportation also there. So of course, when you now talk of animals, again, in animals, you have people who now make the feeds that the animals eat. Yeah. That's another part of the value chain. Yeah. The guys who are in the veterinary system, who will help you vaccinate your animals when they are sick, that they are part of the value chain. You see, so the value chain is wide. So everybody that is involved in that. So for example, some people sell herbicides and sell those that you use to kill the weeds. Yeah. That's part of the value chain. Yeah. You know, so the people in the market woman who go to the abattoir to buy meat and sell to us in the market, they are part of the value chain. So the guys who are
the seller of that meat from the abattoir also sells it to the mama put.
They are all part of the value chain. So when you now come to packaging, so whether you're trying to package your fufu in beautiful nylons, some people are the ones selling those nylons. Some people are printers. They print on those packaging materials for you. So everybody within that space are part of the value chain. So, and that's the way in which you can use agriculture to bring about job creation and bring about economic prosperity. Because when you invest in agriculture, you are indirectly investing in all that value chain. So because you're now creating opportunity for people to create jobs and for the young people to, get out of unemployment and become employed. So that's when you talk about the value chain. That's what you buy the value chain. Everyone that are very interconnected in all of this. Then those who, so it's a very it's a very big and wide interconnected value system.
Time is not on our side. Also, soon we've spent some 25 minutes. We want to go on the break. But when we come back, I'm going to look at two issues. One, what you had a food summit. We will look at that and you will tell us the gains, the pros and cons, the gains and the losses. That will be after this break. I have been speaking with engineer Bolaji Jegede, who is an entrepreneur, and we have focused our discussion this afternoon on food security. We will be back. Don't go away, please.
Born Jeremiah Oyeni Obafemi on March 6, 1909, Obafemi Awolowo was a prime architect of Nigeria's independence and most consummate advocate of free education and social welfare in Africa's most populous nation. Erudite politician, thinker and philosopher, Awo was fondly addressed by associates and political colleagues, brought his unique attributes to bear on governance in the defunct Western region. He administered as leader of government business and the premier between 1955 and 1958. Obafemi Awolowo's premiership witnessed pioneering in multi-sectoral policy initiatives and execution. The Western region under his administration paraded several enviable records. First television station in Africa, first real estate in Nigeria, first high-rise building in Nigeria, first modern sports stadium in Nigeria, first agricultural settlement in Nigeria, first modern civil service secretariat in Nigeria, and first industrial estate in Nigeria. His face is on 100 naira denomination as a mark of honor for his distinguished services to his country. Western Spring Television identifies Obafemi Awolowo as a major character in history. Ahmadu Bello, a Prince Royal, was born 6th of December 1910 at Raba Village, Sokoto, northwestern Nigeria. His father was a district head and heir apparent to the Sultanate throne from the house of Usmanu Danfodio, a religious and social reformer who brought the Habib dynasty under the Fulani Caliphate in the beginning of the 19th century. Ahmadu Bello raised the bar of political consciousness in participation when, in 1944, he engineered the establishment of the Northern People's Congress (NPC) as the first before independence. History will not forget Ahmadu Bello for his charisma and political sagacity, which provided easy passage for his kinsmen to assume political and administrative positions in Nigeria's post-independence era. The distinguished elder statesman and Sardauna of Sokoto has his face on his country's 200 naira currency as a mark of honor to one of the architects of Nigeria's independence. Western Spring Television identifies Ahmadu Bello as a watershed character in history.
Welcome back to the show. I have been on pertinent questions, asking very pertinent questions from a man who is in the business of running seminars, workshops, and summits, preparing man. He's an entrepreneur, engineer, Bolaji Jegede. We have spent the last 25 minutes discussing food security. We are resuming, and I will begin by asking, what is the way out? Some of these challenges you have thrown, transportation, lack of governmental policies, etc., etc. These policies and these things that affect food insecurity, or that ensures food insecurity, because these things are supposed to have brought us food security, but we are not having it. In Nigeria today, we have a situation in which to feed is very difficult, and it is getting worse and worse and worse. What are the things that you can profess that government do to ensure that we don't fall out completely?
So I think that so when we during the National Food Security Summit that we recently put together in Osogbo here,
we will come to that.
So one of the things that we need to do, that government needs to do, now is to look at the policy and the policy framework for food security in Nigeria and do a total overhaul of the entire thing. And to even be able to achieve that at all, we must be able to nip this insecurity in the bud. Now, when it comes to farmers being able to access their farms, and that needs to be solved if we must have a long-term food security strategy. And also another issue that we looked at is the fact that farmers need to be able to have access to improved seedlings, improved strain of seedlings that can give better yield. Because when we talk of agriculture now, yield is a very important terminology, which means that there are some 3 years to fruit, whereas there are improved strains that within 9 months or 1.5 years, depending on what you're talking about, they're already fruiting. Okay. And the quantity is larger. No. And that's because when you talk of food security, you're talking of quality and quantity. So there are some improved varieties of crops that's something that we need to look at. How do we empower our research institutes to come up with top level research that will throw out things that will make agriculture and food security better. And there are some situations that we don't need to invent the wheel. Some things have been done on all parts of the world. We can adopt the ones that are good for our own climate, that are good for our health, and we can jump on that one to ensure food security. And we keep talking about the issue of bad roads. That's not rocket science to fix. You know, we are in an interesting country where I used to live in Lagos for many, many years, and there are roads in Lagos there are roads in some paper that that road has been done more than 5 times.
Yeah.
You know, so we need to fix roads, you know, that is, you know, contributing seriously to post-harvest losses. So, I remember when there was President Goodluck Jonathan, they came up with a policy that they wanted to use cassava to make flour, so we can use it for bread. You know, the moment he lost election, the next president came and they didn't follow through with that. People had invested, thinking, okay, this makes some sense. And then they found out that they just wasted their investment. So policy flip-flop is a very common thing because every administration wants to come and say, this is what we did. Then and that one comes, they throw away what those ones are doing to do their own thing. We have to really have a proper long-term strategy you're talking about, whether it is education you're talking about, whether it is anything, any area of development. It must be a long-term strategy. We're in countries that are serious. So, you know, Saudi Arabia has been pursuing something they call Vision 2030. This has been for more than 20, 30 years, and they have a roadmap to what they want to achieve. This is the way countries that are serious do things. So when you're talking about food security in Nigeria, you must have a roadmap. Okay, in the next 20 years, this is what we want to see, and it must be something that, from one addition to another, we have to continue with. So our political class, they have to really think about the way they are thinking about development, and let's have a roadmap that will be followed. Whether you lose election or not, your method may be different, but you are trying to achieve the same thing.
We used to have Vision 2020. Today, we are in 2025, closing very much on 2026. Vision 2020 died. It died and completely died. Well, we'll be talking about food security. You held a summit. But before then, population explosion. To what extent insecurity?
So the truth of the matter is that population will continue to grow.
Yes.
And we are told that I think we are told now that by the year 2030 or so, Nigeria will probably be the third largest. 2050 or thereabout. So that we are going to grow is a given. Yeah. And the more people you have, it means the more mouths you have to feed. So if there's a population explosion, definitely what it means is that you must be able to produce more food. So your inability to produce more food will result in shortage. And another one, we also have to realize that when there's a shortage, it also means that the costs will go up, because now the demand is more than the supply. And that's one of the economic, a smaller quantity of food chasing so many buyers. So it will make food prices go up, because now it's for the highest bidder. Yeah. So beyond the fact that our population is growing, we have to really think very well about how we are approaching agriculture, so that we don't get to a point where food becomes so expensive in Nigeria and then we have a real crisis on our hands.
A few weeks or months ago, I think
it's earlier this month, November 4th to 6th.
Oh, you held a summit?
Yes.
Okay. This station covered it. We'll be talking about the gains and the losses, but I first want us to listen to a clip of what our reporter brought back from that summit, and then we zero in on asking you 1 or 2 questions. For the next 2, maximum of 3 minutes, depending on what it is, we want to listen, the viewer to listen back and see what our reporter brought on that food summit. Where did it hold?
In Osogbo at the Industrial Development Center.
Okay, if you are ready over there, let's go.
3-day National Food Security Session centered on empowering young people to take active roles in agriculture and improve the quality and profitability of agribusiness across the country. The convener and CEO of Eternity Stone Group, Mr. Bolaji Jegede, commenced the day by leading guests on a guided tour of the facility, showcasing modern machineries and equipment designed to make farming and food processing more efficient and productive.
This is a cassava presser. So this is used to extract water from cassava. So once this is an hydraulic jack. So once you are pumping it begins to mount pressure on the sacks and extracts the water.
One of the gold sponsors of the summit, Inspire Decisions, opened the day session alongside several micro, small and medium enterprises that have benefited from the organization's empowering, propelling, impacting businesses and communities EPIC Accelerator program. The group discussed strategies for building a sustainable and food-secure nation. Oshin Ayokunlemi, CEO of Nature Effect Limited and a mentee of the EPIC program, emphasized the crucial role farmers play in determining food quality. She cautioned against the excessive use of chemicals on food crops, urging farmers to prioritize the health and safety of end consumers. Another EPIC mentee, Oluwakemi Olaoye, CEO of Trace Agric, highlighted the importance of financial literacy among farmers, noting that sound financial management is essential for business growth and sustainability. On her part, Alhaja Ibrahim Raji, state coordinator of the Nigerian Women for Agriculture, Progressive, and contributes significantly to the sector's success and should not be sidelined.
Most times, we processors, what we bring to the table is just what we think people should take. And that is not how it should be. We should be nutritionally intentional in what we bring for people.
To understand how we are to price our products. We understand what we are putting in. I believe that smallholder farmers feed the nation. Àwa là ń feed gbogbo àwọn ọmọ Nigeria. Èní ọjọ́ 5 market owó dé, ọdẹ òmu, ti ìgbọ̀nà, ti the different ones. So when we have proper knowledge on how to plan our farms.
We want still about 60 or 70% of the farmers generally.
The regional community manager of NIDDA's Digital Literacy and Innovation for Modern Agribusiness, Mr. Oluwaferami Adeleye, encouraged farmers to embrace technology to enhance productivity, while Mr. Agbade Shola Adenrele, CEO of Gidi Suya Agro, urged them to explore opportunities in the day.
Yes, I promised a clip, so I didn't promise the whole report. That was your company in retrospect. What did you seek to achieve with a National Food Security Summit?
Okay, so with the National Food Security Summit that we put together earlier this month, November 4 to 6, basically what we sought to do was to be able to look at the entire agricultural value chain and look at what the challenges are and be able to propose solutions to those challenges. And again, because some of these summits have happened left, right, and center all over the place, but have not really been resulted in anything really meaningful. So we are not just talking. It's a state-of-the-art fabrication facility where we can manufacture and produce all kinds of equipment that can need in agriculture or even in industry at all. So, but what we hope to eventually achieve from this summit is to come up with what we call a white paper. We're currently putting together a white paper that looks at all the entire agricultural value chain in Nigeria and will provide solutions to all the challenges across the entire value chain. We're already halfway into that. We're already looking at the report, and we are reviewing the report that we have done. And that white paper will lead to what we call a working group, in which case we are going to now look at, okay, who are the key stakeholders? And then we look at that document and see how we can implement it across the country. But what we have done is to do a 25-year plan, which I call the Vision 2050 Agricultural Revolution for Nigeria. So we're now looking at between 2026 and 2050, the 25-year plan. How can we revolutionize agriculture in Nigeria so that Nigeria can become a net exporter of agricultural products?
I can be sure of the governor of the state. You invited him,
Yes.
and he sent in a representative.
He sent his delegation.
Tell me one or two other people.
Also, the governor sent his delegation, an 18-man delegation, which shows that the governor, Adeleke,
That's the point I want to highlight.
is really serious about agriculture in Osun State, at least for him. His wife sent a delegation. You know, the DG of Smedan sent the delegation. Bank of Industry sent it. So we are very happy that those that should be key stakeholders, they were serious about it. There were more than 30.
1 to 3. You've done your best. You are going further by writing a paper. Are you going to send it to the federal government?
Oh, so it's going to be a public document. I'm going to make it available to the federal government, the state government. It's going to be on our website. We are going to try our best to see how we can work with all the stakeholders to make it work.
I'm asking this question because what you have done is like a university professor in his inaugural lecture. He tells you everything he has done, and it ends on the shelf. Nobody uses it. How are you going to ensure that at least here in Osun State, they make use, because you are from here, and the summit was conducted here, and the governor was invited?
It doesn't end there. There was last year. This is the second edition, and it will continue to hold every year. And so beyond coming up with these solutions, what I seek to do across the different areas of the economy that I seek to work is to do those things even myself and show how it can be done. And that's why when you look at the fabrication facility, it's part of what the solutions that we're talking about. How can our processors have access to equipment, locally produced equipment that they can facilitate their trade? And so not just are we doing it ourselves, we are also ensuring that we work with the right stakeholders, whether it's the guys in the House of Assemblies and the executive and the private sector, to see how we can work together to ensure that this program that we have come up with will work efficiently. We can only do our best and really hope that they will see the vision that we're trying to do and work with us. But like I always tell people, whether they respond or they don't respond, we will continue to do what the best that we can do within the capacity that we have.
Time is not on our side in a jiffy. We should be wrapping it up. But I must commend you for your enterprise. We have known you for this kind of thing, but we will suggest to you that you don't rest on your own. It may be long, but the vision, yes, the scripture tells us the vision may tarry, but it will surely come. Before you go, poverty, conflict, political conflict, instability, etc., etc. How would you prefer a solution to this so that it doesn't choke our food supply, food security strategy?
So when you look at political instability, we have to agree that all these are not fueled by spirits; they are fueled by human beings. Those who sponsor terrorism, those who sponsor banditry, they are human beings. They are part of us. Those that they make themselves available as tools, young people in the hands of the sponsors, we all have to tell ourselves the truth. Traditional rulers, leaders, we have to tell the truth that whether we really love the country or we love ourselves, and really call ourselves to order, and let's put the love of the country ahead of ourselves. Because the problems that we see in Nigeria, all over the world, they're all human problems. They are created by human beings. You know, so we only appeal to those who are sponsoring instability, sponsoring insecurity, to think twice that when you throw a stone in the market, like our people will say, it might eventually hit somebody in your own family. Yeah. So that's my advice.
Your advice to those who are attempting to destabilize. What's your advice to government?
So the advice to government is to really think about the people. Leadership is about serving the people. And if you are truly serving the people, you will do everything you can to ensure that the life of the people are better because you are leading them. So my advice to government is, let's put together policies that will favor the everyday Nigerian, policies that will ensure that every Nigerian can have food on their table, policies that will ensure that Nigeria is no longer the poverty capital of the world, policies that will ensure that our young people are not looking to travel abroad in their numbers, that they want to stay in Nigeria because Nigeria is actually one of the best places to live. And I think that this is the way in which we select our leaders. Our elections are truly fair, they are truly credible, and they really turn out people that the people really want to lead them.
Bolaji, thank you very much for finding